It's really a privilege to welcome dignitaries from the state and guests to the state to bring greetings and to say a few words in celebration of this wonderful day. Don't you just love the acoustics in this building, by the way? But you know, it's always last year we were privileged to have the governor of our state, Governor Lincoln Chafee, here, and once again we're so pleased that he asked to come back to say a few words to us. Please welcome the governor of the state of Rhode Island, Governor Lincoln Chafee.
Well, thank you, Roger, and thank you for everything you're doing for the state of Rhode Island and our rich history here. And my name is Chafee, but it comes from French roots. I think it was originally Chafee, so I'm proud of my ancestry. And as many of you know, Rhode Island does have strong ties to France and French Canada, dating back centuries. We're here today to honor and celebrate this unique relationship. In 1524, when explorer Giovanni de Verrazzano, not a very French-sounding name, but when he first reached our shores, he was flying the French flag. And later, beginning in the 1840s and continuing till the 20th century, large numbers of French Canadians came down from Quebec to the Blackstone Valley. And in fact, Woonsocket made up 60% of French Canadians at the turn of the century. And this influence continues today with more than 40% of Woonsocket's population self-defining as French Canadian. And there's no question that throughout our history, Rhode Islanders of French and French Canadian ancestry have had a significant role in the development of our state and its civic and cultural life. One of my predecessors, for example, Governor Aram J. Pothier, was born and raised in Quebec, but moved to Woonsocket with his family. He was the first Rhode Island governor of French-Canadian descent, and he served 2 long stints from 09 to 15, and then came back from 25 to 28. And I saw his portrait in the Capitol in Washington in the Majority Leader's office. There was Armand Pothier's portrait there. Today, ties between Rhode Island and Canada remain strong both culturally and economically. And Canada is one of Rhode Island's largest export market, buying more goods from our state than the next 6 nations combined. So I'm pleased to be here today to celebrate the raising of the flag and to highlight the role of French and French-Canadian culture and heritage in our state, and also to join Representative Phillips, Representative Mattiello, Representative Martin here today on behalf of elected leaders in the state. So it's a great pleasure to join you here and celebrate our rich history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you for those kind words and for adopting yourself to being a Frenchman for the day. And I also want to recognize Representative Phillips and thank you for being here. And although Representative Peter Martin represents the city of Newport, I think his roots are in the city of Woonsocket. Is that right, Peter? There we are. So thank you very much. Another fine Frenchman who wanted to be here today is the House Majority Leader. And it's my privilege to introduce Representative Nick Mattiello. Well, it's almost French.
Thank you, Roger. Certainly honored to be called French on such a great day. I want to recognize Bob Phillips and Peter Martin. Thank you for coming out today on such a beautiful day, but one where you have other responsibilities. So thank you for taking the time to come here for such a worthy cause. On behalf of Speaker Gordon Fox and the House of Representatives, it is my honor to bring greetings and to celebrate the flag raising with you here today. The flag raising celebrates and preserves the culture of one of the most important ethnic groups in Rhode Island, those of French Canadian and French descent. Last Thursday in the House of Representatives, we celebrated the Irish and Italian cultures in our annual St. Patrick's and St. Joseph's Day celebration. The French-Canadian culture is just as important to Rhode Island, and it deserves such a spectacular day, and I thank you all for coming here as we celebrate your heritage. In the early 20th century, thousands of immigrants flocked from Quebec to Rhode Island, mostly in Woonsocket and the Blackstone Valley area, where they worked in the thriving industrial mills. Unfortunately, a lot of the manufacturing jobs have left Rhode Island. However, people of French-Canadian descent have stayed and have ascended to positions of leadership in all walks of life in Rhode Island. Roger Bejan is one example, a former member of the General Assembly, our General Treasurer, and Lieutenant Governor, who is a leader today in many civic and business causes. Another is Anne Conway, welcome Anne, who came here from Quebec and now runs the Museum of Work and Culture, which is a beautiful gem in the heart of Woonsocket, an old mill that has been redeveloped as a museum to preserve the history, culture, and traditions of French Canadians. Her husband Peter is one of the state's leading businessmen as a tour bus company operator. There are many, many more examples of French Canadians who have ascended to the top of state government, sports, and business community in the state of Rhode Island. Your contribution is certainly appreciated. You help make our culture a better place. One of the great things in Rhode Island is we celebrate all our cultures, and all of us coming together make it such a rich, historic, and great place to live. I congratulate you all today for sharing your culture and teaching it to the next generation. It is so important that we carry on these traditions. This wonderful group of students from the French American School is an inspiration to all of us. Wonderful work. Thank you for gracing us with your talents today. I have brought some citations honoring our special guest today. It is a privilege to welcome you to Rhode Island on behalf of the House of Representatives. And now, if I may, Mr. Christophe Guillieu. Thank you. Congratulations. Aaron Anabole, Counsel and Head, Political and Economic Relations of Canada. Welcome. Thank you. And Mr. John Stéphane Bernard, Delegate of Quebec to New England. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here and sharing your heritage. It's a great day to share in the Canadian heritage today. And once again, welcome to the State House.
Thank you again, Monsieur Mattiello. We recognize, Representative Mattiello recognized a few of the folks that were here, but we have a delegation from the Rhode Island Historical Society, which runs the Museum of Work and Culture, which is really one of the entities in our state that is a channel for the celebration of our heritage. And we have Ann Conway here and Ray Bacon, the co-directors, and want to welcome them and thank them for all that they do in preserving and presenting our ethnic heritage. Also here with us is the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Historical Society, Morgan Greff. Morgan, we're delighted to have you here as well. Thank you very much. We know that in this continent, in the North American continent, from Canada, is an important partner to us, and part of it is the French-speaking part of Canada, but representing the government of Canada is the consul, Aaron Annabelle. Now I'm mispronouncing it. Aaron Annabelle. I'd like to invite him to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Monsieur Bégin, Governor Chafee, representatives, esteemed colleagues from France and Quebec, et tous les amis de la francophonie ici aujourd'hui. Je suis très fier d'être ici avec vous pour représenter le gouvernement du Canada pour célébrer la francophonie. I'm really proud to be here to celebrate Francophone culture and la journée de la francophonie. It's clear that the efforts of a lot of people went into organizing this ceremony, so I thank you all. To Anne and Ray, I would like to say I'm looking forward to Bonjour Printemps on Sunday in Woonsocket, which should be great. Canada is very proud of the strong ties that we have with the citizens of Rhode Island. As you heard previously, hundreds of thousands of French Canadians migrated down through New England and created a shared cultural heritage that exists to this day. As you also heard, we've since developed a strong economic partnership, and we look forward to continuing to work with Rhode Island to strengthen that partnership, as well as our cultural ties. Around the world, Canada works with 74 other countries in the organization of La Francophonie to promote democracy, human rights, the rule of law, and the use of the French language. Right here in New England, we work with other Francophone government representatives, including Quebec, France, Switzerland, Haiti, and also organizations in Rhode Island, such as the Museum of Work and Culture, the French-American School of Rhode Island, and the Alliance Française, to promote and strengthen Francophone culture and encourage young people to study French. So those of you in the room today speak to the strength of the Franco-American communities in Rhode Island, and your efforts are an example of why French culture remains robust throughout the state. Donc, je vous remercie de votre appui à la langue française et je vous souhaite une bonne journée de la francophonie. Merci.
Thank you very much, Aaron. As Aaron just said, there are other organizations that really celebrate our French heritage, and we're pleased to have representatives of those organizations that are here. We have Dominique Thompson, who we just heard from the French-American School, and the great job that they do, and we want to thank you for being here. From Alliance Française, Dominique Grégoire. From the Club Richelieu, Paul Papineau. Paul. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you a gentleman that I have the pleasure of working with, who is, I guess in some respects, my boss, who is the real Consul General of France for the New England area. And I'd like to introduce to you our Consul General, Christophe Guilloux.
Bonjour, je suis Monsieur le Gouverneur, Monsieur Mattiello, dear representative, dear friends, cher Roger Bégin. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to be here once again on this very special day. This is the last day of winter, and I appreciate the warm climate and ambiance here in Rhode Island. I have to say this is my third celebration of Francophonie in Rhode Island, and I just want to stress and to capture the image of the celebration today. First of all, the history of Rhode Island, and you mentioned how close it is related to Francophonie and to French and French-Canadian citizens. And we captured that in the Museum of Woonsocket. That's the past. And the future is the School of Rhode Island. And we very much value the Franco-American School of Rhode Island because this is a means to continue and to enrich the Francophonie here in the state and in the city. So thank you very much. We celebrate Francophonie here in Rhode Island, but we also celebrate it across New England. So I invite you to visit our respective website, the website of the Consular General of Canada, who's this year chairing the Committee of Francophonie celebration, our website, the Consulate General in Boston, and the website of our friend from Delegation General du Québec. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Governor, for attending. It's very important for us to have you and to have distinguished officials from the House. Thank you very much, et merci beaucoup, et à bientôt.
Thank you very much, Christophe. As other speakers have described the heritage of the French community of Rhode Island, most of those with the French heritage really derives from Quebec. And so there's always been a special and a long relationship between the province of Quebec and New England, and for those of us who live in Rhode Island. Representing the province of Quebec is the delegate who was actually here last year, and it was a pleasure to see him here, and he's back again. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Jean-Stéphane Bernard.
Monsieur le gouverneur, distingués invités, chers amis, bonjour. Je suis très heureux d'être ici à nouveau cette année pour la deuxième année. Governor, distinguished guests, dear friends, I'm extremely happy to be here for the second time this year. I'm trying to catch up to Christophe, who's unfortunately is leaving this summer, so I might have an opportunity to beat his record. I just want to say that first of all, to congratulate the organizers of this great event. It's really well organized every year. I also want to say congratulations to the students who were singing, who were really amazing. So bravo, c'était vraiment de très belles chansons. Like many have said before me, we're celebrating today the history, the heritage, and for me it's also an opportunity to look at the future. When I came in last year, one of my priorities that I established was actually bringing the relationship between Rhode Island and Quebec to another level. In the last year, we've worked to strengthen those relationships, not only on the cultural side, but also on the policy side with regards to energy, rail development, and also on the business side, bringing the companies from Rhode Island and Quebec to strengthen their relationship. So I'm going to actively continue working in that direction. And I'm extremely happy to be here today. Puis je vous souhaite une très belle journée de la francophonie. Merci beaucoup.
And our last speaker of the afternoon is a gentleman who's really represents the essence of the continuation of the French language and French culture in the classroom, and how important it is for the younger generations to have that benefit of that instruction. And on behalf of, he is president of the American Association of Teachers of French, but he also represents the Francophonie of Rhode Island. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Michael Hébert.
Alors, Monsieur le gouverneur Chafee, Monsieur Mathialo, les représentants distingués de la France et du Canada, ainsi que vous, le public, bonjour. Je vous souhaite une très bonne fête de la francophonie 2012. I'm happy to be here again this year to celebrate this very international day, in as much as president of the Rhode Island chapter of the American Association of Teachers of French, and honored to be the representative to speak to you of the League of Francophone and Francophiles here in Rhode Island. This very Francophone Day is celebrated the world over in honor of the language, the French language, as well as the many Francophone cultures throughout the world. What is called the International Francophonie comprises 70 states across the 5 continents, representing a total of 870 million people, which is quite a figure. There are an estimated 220 million people who speak French worldwide, as well as an estimated 2 million people in the United States, including their 20,000 speakers of French in Rhode Island. What does the Francophonie represent, and why is it being celebrated today? Well, it represents the promotion of the language, of course, but also cultural and linguistic diversity, as well as the promotion of peace, democracy, education, and human rights on a global scale. Here in Rhode Island, the League of Francophones and Francophiles meet several times a year to collaborate on social and cultural events, as well as supporting and promoting the teaching of the language and its cultures. At this point, I'd like to introduce to you some of the various members of this group. From the Museum of Work and Culture, which is part of the Rhode Island Historical Society, its fantastic co-director, Anne Conway. From the Franco-American School of Rhode Island, a leader of dual education in the United States, its founder and head of school, Madame Dominique Velocité. And its after-school coordinator, Monsieur Sébastien Durand. And finally, the Alliance Française de Providence, its president, Monsieur Dominique Grégoire. One more, Club Richelieu, its president, Monsieur Paul Papineau. Okay. As you can see, I have some very anxious students in the corner here. Okay, before I introduce them, I'd like to make two very, very important announcements, public announcements, which I believe will exemplify the vitality of the League in the state of Rhode Island. And I'm sure Governor Chafee would like to hear this as well. First, I have the pleasure to announce that the Fédération des Alliances Françaises in the United States will hold its annual convention here in Providence in the month of October, from the 11th to the 14th. This convention expects over 100 people coming from all corners of the United States and will take place at the Westin Hotel, not too far from the Capitol. Distinguished guests will include the Ambassador of France to the United States, and invitations will be graciously sent to the Governor, as well as the Mayor of Providence and the President of the City Council. A sunset cruise will follow on Saturday, October 13th, dinner and music in Newport Harbor. So yes, shows some vitality. Attendez, il y en a plus. There's one more. It's with much excitement that I announce to you from my part that Providence has been accepted as the site for the 2013 AATF Annual Convention. This will take place in July of 2013. This recent decision from the national level of the AATF is a real coup for the Rhode Island chapter, as well as Rhode Island's teachers of French, the many Francophone organizations in New England, as well as local businesses. Hundreds of teachers of French from all corners of the United States will embark on Providence, as well as major textbook publishers, tour operators, representatives from French-speaking countries, and they will attend this largest of annual events for teachers of French in the United States. Past annual AATF conventions have been taking place in and outside the United States. So to be in Providence is really something. So we very much look forward to this. Okay. As you see close by to my right, we have in attendance for this special day several students from Providence, Central High School in fact, who will be very shortly giving a presentation en français. They represent quite literally the cultural and linguistic diversity which defines what we call la francophonie. Their family origins range from Asia to Western and Central Africa to the Caribbean and Central and South America. What they all have in common is that they're either learning to speak French or speak French and are learning or have learned English. Quite amazing. Mesdames et messieurs, merci d'accueillir les élèves de Central High School.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Queen King. Je suis né en Liberia. Je parle anglais and Sapo. Je parle la français. And one I can't speak in French, but I'm learning. So one thing I want to say, French is a very important language in Africa. So I'm proud to be in Mr. Alban class. Thank you.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Eric Giron. Ma famille vient du Guatemala. Je parle anglais, espagnol et un peu de japonais. Maintenant, j'apprends français J'apprends le français parce que j'aime les différentes langues. Aussi, je voudrais voyager à Paris un jour. Merci beaucoup.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Victoria Noriega. Mon famille vient du Guatemala. Je parle en anglais, espagnol et j'apprends le français. J'apprends le français parce que j'ai de la famille au Québec. Merci. Bonne fête de la francophonie.
Bonjour, comment ça va tout le monde? Je m'appelle Dana Salif Rome, je suis 15 ans et j'ai étudié à la Central High School. Ma famille vient de République dominicaine, je parle anglais, espagnol et j'apprends le français. J'étudie le français parce que j'aime la langue et je veux visiter la France un jour.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Pastor Pay. Je suis en Côte d'Ivoire. Ma famille en Libéria. Je parle anglais et Swahili. Merci.
Je m'appelle Yves Campos. Ma famille vient de Mexique. Je parle espagnol, anglais et maintenant je prends le français. Je prends le français parce que je voudrais visiter l'Europe. Voilà!
Bonjour, je m'appelle Anaïs. Ma famille vient de République dominicaine. Je parle anglais, espagnol et je prends le français. Merci.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Kaylee Agramonte. Ma famille vient de Porto Rico et République dominicaine. Je parle anglais et espagnol. J'apprends le français à l'école. Au revoir.
Bonjour, moi je m'appelle Job, ma famille vient d'Haïti, je parle créole, je parle français et j'apprends l'anglais. Merci.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Jocelyne Saint-Just et je viens d'Haïti.
Salut tout le monde, je m'appelle Destin Coratier, je viens de la République centrafricaine.
On va réciter un poème. Faisons de notre langue un ouvrage de paix.
Ensemble par la voix, les bonnes volontés.
Ami, je prends ta main et souris en français.
Nos chemins se rencontrent au ciel de l'amitié.
C'est en chacun de nous que se conduit la vie.
Ouvrons les horizons où respire l'envie.
Préservons la langue de sa pure noblesse.
Harmonisons le monde en montrant sa richesse.
Où respire des mots s'exprime le bonheur.
Notre bel héritage est rempli de chaleur.
Il éclaire le monde et fait vibrer les cœurs.
Émerveillant l'enfant d'amour et de couleur. Merci beaucoup.
Okay. Ça, c'était un poème de Joël Comte. It was a poem by Joël Comte, a poet from France. Before we leave today, I'd just like to thank my students for their participation today again. And as well to announce to everyone, just to remind you that there is a Francofête tonight, 5:30, at the Alliance Française on Smith Street. There'll be cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, entertainment, etc. So, merci beaucoup. Bonne fête à la francophonie. Au revoir. Merci.
Thank you so much. And what a fitting way to conclude the program by having these students speak to us and to show the great work that's being done in the classroom by the teachers and by the families. Really just a wonderful, wonderful way to conclude things.